Good morning. Welcome to the new episode of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. When India became independent, it was decided by the constitution and by the people. The ideal system of governance would be to follow the Westminster system. Westminster is the parliamentary democracy. The mother of parliament is the British Parliament, the modern. I mean, unfortunately, the experience in the last 75 years is anything but a happy one. And the fault is nobody's, except that of the Indian attitudes. What's Indian Parliament today? It's a place where the people who are absolute criminals, at least 35%, absolute hardened criminals, they sit, they shout, they jeer, indulge in all sorts of antics, unfit for any decent discourse. And that's why the serious students of the Indian political scene are getting skeptic about the real performance, whether it's a real parliament or is it. But then that's their right. After what's parliament? Parliament is an assembly of baboons. And the Indian parliamentarians are baboons. If you looked at their debates, whether it's on Adani or whether it's on budget, I have not seen even 20% people talking sensibly, providing some rare insight, but are always theatrical. Now, look at the reality. This week, or last week, the budget session of the parliament was an exact copy of a pacey action film, complete with the lead players sporting eye-catching costumes. Both the government and the opposition aisles were packed when either side was in a high rhetorical flow, absolutely nonsensical. Sense has nothing to do with their shouting. What the opposition lacks is numbers it has tried to make up in the decibels and togetherness, especially in slogan shouting for a JPC probe into Adani Group. Three benches, for their part, talked past these cries, getting a long list of achievements. Relevant or not, who cares? Surprisingly, when one sifts through all this TRP friendly play, you won't find an iota of common sense. To begin with, in the first 2 decades of the parliament, it used to meet for little more than 120 days a year, which is not too good. Out of 365, if you are meeting for 120 days, you are not doing justice. Then, in the last decade, the third 1990s, it came to approximately 7 days a year. That's it. And this year, the parliament met only for 48 days. 48 days to decide the policy of a country for a governance, and we call it a parliamentary system. And these 48 days because of the constitutional requirement. The constitution empowers the president to summon each house at such intervals that there should not be a gap of more than 6 months between two sessions. Hence, the parliament must meet at least twice a year. And in India, parliament conducts 3 sessions each year. But can you believe that you can pass hundreds of bills, budget, and everything in just 48 days? It's not possible. And it's not desirable. Parliamentarians are supposed to meet, discuss, dissect each issue because what they decide. Now, unfortunately, another thing has taken place, and that is that the superior courts, high courts, and the Supreme Court have taken over the function of Parliament, and they tell the government, do this, frame such a law. Who are they? So, parliamentary democracy is basically a misnomer as far as India is concerned. It is ruled by the executive and by the judiciary. And both of them again are at loggerheads. They are not cooperating or collaborating, they are confronting each other. Parliament becomes an arena for wrestling and shouting between criminals and some soft criminals. Now look at the budget. Excellent budget, let me tell you. 2 days before the budget came, I presented my own ideas in an article, and I find that the budget was based partly on that. Otherwise, a 45 trillion budget for a year with challenging global wind is supposed to be dissected because it's going to address the country's various urgent needs. As usual, Prime Minister Modi justifiably offered a very aggressive defense of his government, both in response to the motion of thanks to the President and the opposition charges. Unusually, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, the heir apparent now becoming heir apparent, HEIR transformed to HEIR, served up matching aggression, and his intervention showed the Bharat Jodo Yatra effect. Yet, despite being focused on the Adani issue, his attack was high on allegations, low on specifications, nothing concrete. That looseness helps the government dismiss the attack as politics, cheap politics, dirty politics. Indeed, both BJP, and I am not absolving BJP, they are equally guilty. BJP and Congress have shown inside the parliament and outside the parliament that 30 plus years after reform, blind business bashing is still and continues to be a favorite political ploy. And that is shameful for any country which calls itself the largest democracy in the world. It is democracy, but it's not a parliamentary democracy. It's an executive democracy, it's a judicial democracy. You elect people who don't deserve to be elected. And after being elected, they don't, I think they leave their brains in the cold storage or in the criminal dens. Now, this takes me how the overall paucity of information and informative intervention in Parliament is less an accident, more as a design. It didn't happen. It has been purposefully done. So people believe that their elected leaders are doing something, while they are only busy either in shouting with each other, at each other, and the evening getting together and getting tipsy. 9 state elections are lined up this year, and Lok Sabha election next year. So, what's their attitude? They are in the prime time TV mode, and you know TV in India. Anchors shout. The so-called experts are not experts, they don't know anything. 9 out of 10. One person always is very sensible, but he is not allowed to speak because he can't shout. So this is a reminder also, this non-functioning, non-working Yes, I was saying this was a reminder of the mathematical analysis of the legislature's productivity. Look at their number of sittings, hours of discussion, and that's misleading. As I said, 48 days meeting in 1 year. Out of that, 20 days gone in shouting at each other, rest 20 in presenting the bills, and then abuses exchange, and then the voting. The government is stingy with information, and opposition is impotent and ineffective in getting information. No amount of spectacle is any compensation. And look at the level of debate we used to have with Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Madhu Leme, Jawaharlal, C.T. Deshmukh, intellectual, reasonable, presentable, and decent. Where have those days gone? Now, unfortunately, we don't have even the fixed days for the parliament meeting. As I said, the only consideration is that there should be gap not more than 6 months. That's it. What we need is fixed dates and the fixed timings. That no session would be less than, say, 4 months. Why can't we have 3 sessions of 3 months each? And the balance can be, so that 3 months each is 9 months, and 3 months are still there when the parliamentarians can go to their homes, discuss, mull, and things like that. Because they have to be there. And any parliamentarian who misses, his salary should be deducted. Not pro rata, but considering those days, those 3 sessions, that's 9 months should be equal to 1 year's salary. So it should be enhanced. 1 day's absence should mean 1.5 days salary to be deducted. Secondly, the salaries of the parliamentarians need to be drastically reduced, not increased, because they're not working. And what happens now is you name a parliamentarian or ask him to leave. No. Tell the people that, look here, he has shouted, he has been thrown out, so his salary would be deducted. Financial hit should be there for misconduct, for abusing, and for absenting. And those parliamentarians who don't speak at all, there are at least 1/3 of the parliamentarians who would not say a single line in their whole career. If they have not spoken and if they have not made their name, they should be asked to quit. By-election should take place. This needs a change in the parliament, the constitution, but it can be effected. As a matter of fact, we have to move with the times. So there has to be, the parliamentarians were objecting that the Supreme Court takes too many vacations. And look at all the vacations, just 48 days they worked, and that work was only shouting and abusing. It's a dead institute, becoming a dead institute. It's a stink house, full of dirt, full of confusion, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Indian Parliament. Needs to be either overhauled or let's amend the constitution, make it a presidential form of government. We already are practically a presidential form of government. The Prime Minister, who is primus inter pares, the first among the equal, is no longer that. He is the only person. So And it has not been now. Indira was like that. Only Rajiv was not like that, and Manmohan, well, he was the, I think, like Gujral and Gowda and Manmohan. They were lower than the ministers even, so we have to ignore them. But Indira, Johar, Modi, and Atal also, to a great extent, they were towering personalities over their equals. So we are practically a presidential form of government, and we are wasting crores of rupees, millions of dollars on giving them salaries, houses, and perks unimaginable. They don't deserve. So let's abolish that. Let's have two houses to advise and also with a fixed tenure. Fixed tenure. And more working hours forced. And we need an ombudsman for the parliament alone. An ombudsman who will look after the conduct and the capability and the performance and appraise them. We have no system of appraisal as far as the parliamentarians are concerned. Why not? So we need that. And once we have that, then these people might do something really useful and good. Otherwise, they're a burden on the Indian taxpayer, burden on the society, and a shame for the country. Down with such a parliament, down with such a system. Whether upgrade it, reform it, or abolish it, choice is yours. Thank you.